Well, my clients, they are stressed out about this new stress test. I can tell you that.
And the stress isn't confined to Foster's clients.
All home buyers are impacted by this change. If you were approved for $1 million mortgage, your buying power is now reduced to $950,000.
In an effort to cool the market, regulators are tightening rules for both insured and uninsured mortgages.
So effective June 1st, anyone who has not entered into a contract of purchase will now be qualifying at the higher qualifying rate of 5.25%. This change in qualifying rate will have about a 5% reduction in what you're currently qualified for. So to put that in perspective, if you're currently approved for a $500,000 mortgage, this could impact your approval as much as $25,000. So anything that is pre-approved prior to will not be valid. It's only those going into existing contracts.
I mean, for my buyers, it's a little disappointing, right? You save all this money, you get ready to buy a house. This is supposed to be an exciting time in their lives. And all of a sudden they're hit with this. And it can be very discouraging. So I have no doubt that some of my clients will just bow right out of the market and not be able to compete.
It feels like a little bit excessive to try to make the stress test so high. I would understand if they did like plus 2% or something just for some variation, but it's really going to make it hard for my wife and I, even with a dual income, to probably apply for or be accepted for a mortgage, even though we've built up about, I would say, 5-6 years of equity already.
This wasn't something that the banks had actually really worked for, because when they profiled Canadians recently and in most of their economic data, they had actually said that despite the global crisis, the default rate of people not paying their mortgage actually went down. And one of the major banks talked about having $200 billion sitting in Canadian checking accounts waiting. And the stats that they have is that there's 400,000 Canadians waiting to come back to reside here. But our problem is really supply driven. So if we really want to make an impact, we live in the best place in the world. The stress test won't really impact it, just make it more difficult for existing residents. What we can do to really help move this forward is to increase the supply.
And while that's the main solution, according to industry experts, lenders in the meantime will be taking strides to adopt by making guidelines a little more flexible to offset the stress of the new mortgage stress test. For Open House, I'm Kasha Badurka.